Hi, everybody. My name is Sharon, and I'm the CEO of Clariter. And I'm going to discuss with you today a little bit about innovation and disruptiveness in an industry of downstream, and also a little bit of different sources. So let us start and share with you that, for decades that we saw a couple of problems. We understood for decades that we have an issue with plastic waste. We understood for decades that we have a great dependency on crude, and we need to find some sort of alternatives and how to release ourselves from the crude dependency. We talked about social and the need to empower the people, and of course to clean the planet. What COVID gave us over the last almost 24 months and the change is that we realized that actually plastic, it's not a problem, but plastic is a pandemic that we need to resolve. Our dependency creates a lot of effect on gas emissions, etc. And we need definitely to make changes. We saw also where investors came and said, ESG, impact investing, we need to change. When regulators came and pushed towards industry and said, you need to think different. You need to help us how to solve problems. Otherwise, the future is not that bright. So Clariter's solution started by taking plastic waste that no one wants, and we transform it into products that everybody needs. Now, I think the essence, and this is the essence of Clariter for the past 20 years, and our DNA is we actually look at plastic waste, not as waste, but actually as a misplaced resource. And what we were considered is, can we make this resource into something that everybody needs? And this is in a nutshell what we do. Now, Clariter raw materials is a mix of plastics. We do not care about the colors. We do not care about if it's rigid or flex. We do not care if it's a mix. So we do take most of plastics. Clariter takes polypropylene, polyethylene, and polystyrene. We do not take the PET, which is the soft drink bottles, and we do not take PVC. But most of plastics that one can find, we do take and we do like. The sources of raw material for Clariter can be found from existing landfill to new plastic that is coming into a market, and even into plastics that we can see in the sea. Now, Clariter's technology, and this is something we've been developing for almost 20 years, is we are not recyclers. So often people are asking me, like, can you describe Clariter? Why you are not a recycler? And we say, Clariter takes a product A and transform it into a product B with a higher value. And that's why we like to consider ourselves as chemical upcyclers. Why? Because we use also a chemical process. Clariter is in a world of plastic too. Most of companies that you might hear till today are plastic to energy or plastic to fuel. Clariter is a unique company where we take it from mix of plastics into high purity products with high quality. And I will speak in a second about our products. So our products are not targeted towards fuel or energy, but our products are petrochemical products. How do we do it? First, we take the mix of plastics, and when it's a mix of plastics, maybe I'll show you a little of example. We do like the mix and the colors. We do like the different shades and different grades. The first part that we do, we crack the plastic, we convert it into a hydrocarbon mix, and if you can see, it looks like that. It's very stinky. It's similar to light crude, but this is the way that we crack the plastics into a mix of hydrocarbon. Our second stage is a stage where we do hydrorefining. In the hydrorefining, we take the double bonds away, we take the color, we take sulfur, etc. We treat the plastic. And the third stage that we do is separation and unification by distillations and others, where at the end, we will have products of the nature of solvents, oils, and waxes. And again, not to energy and not to fuel. So our solvent will look a little bit like, even like water, that will have almost no smell, and we'll touch based on this in a second. So Clariter's technology, it's a mix of processes that were combined together in a very unique manner, IP protected, but when it comes to industry experts, they simply understand what we do. Remember, plastic comes from crude. Why not to bring it back and to break it in a special and unique way? And that's one of our keys. And then how do we treat it? So We were spending more than 40 million euro in development. Clariter is a private company. We are not backed by any of the large petrochemical or large private equity and VC funds. We managed to do so by far, but by industry experts, family offices, etc., that believe that the concept of transforming something with a low value into a high value, it's the essence. Our journey started in Poland. We started in Gliwice, in the south of Poland, where we created our first R&D pilot. The R&D pilot is working from 2006, is actually working till today. We had more than 13 alterations. This is where we look at the entire process, and this is wherever we reach to a moment where we say, oh, it looks good. What we do, we are trying to push it and to make it even better. After a couple of years of working with our pilot in Gliwice, we went to South Africa and we were building our first industrial scale plant. You can see a picture of this on the slide. The industrial scale plant is located in East London, South Africa. And over there, it was a greenfield project. So we are actually making our own hydrogen. We are making our own nitrogen. We are making deminerals, etc., etc., etc. So we can create a full eco environment, getting raw material, which is sourced from the plastic waste, making the cracking, we're making the hydro treating, making the separation and distillations, and at the end to have products. The facility in South Africa is a facility which we use it today for both R&D, but it's also our demonstration and training facility. And this is also when we do sampling for potential clients and also joint venture partners, etc., etc. Our products, as I mentioned, we have three families of products. The solvent family, which we call Solventra, the wax family, which we call Clariwax, and the oil family, which we call Oilcare. Over there in all our products, they meet FDA standards. They have no sulfur, no double bond, no aromatics, no colors, and other impurities. So I showed you already how looks our solvent. Believe me, the oil looks the same. But this is the way that our wax looks. It's a snow white wax, beautiful, which can be easily applied in the market. More than 1,000 applications you can create from Clariter products. It doesn't matter if it's a shoe polish to a degreaser for industrial use and even for cosmetic use, from simple candles, shoe polish to lubricating oils, and even solvents that you will use while painting your walls. The concept is not, from one side, we can replace existing petrochemical products. But what we are also saying, we can actually be mixed with other petrochemical products. When we are talking to various users of the solvents, oils, and waxes that we do, often what we see their excitement, and when we ask why, is they're saying that usually their clients are very pushy about sustainability and finding alternative to crude-based products, and they could not find a product which is acting from a chemical point of view in the same shape and form as they are used from a crude-based oil. And when they were looking for bio-based products or water-based products, it was simply not the same. It might be the same name, but it's not the same chemistry. And when they were using Clariter product, they see that our chemical characteristics are similar or exactly the same as, and sometimes even better, of the ones that are coming today from the crude industry or from the petchem industry. So for them, it was an uplifting. And today we have more and more and more future customers and users that what they do, they are looking to either replace their crude-based petrochemicals with Clariter products or to create a mix. The issue, simply we are still not manufacturing with the ability of and the demand that is coming from the market. It will take a couple of more years, but we are on the way. Interesting enough, everything that we do based on our CLA, we are also CO2 negative. So from one side, the Clariter facility, and that's the plants that we have, treat around 60,000 tons of raw material, meaning plastic, post-consumer plastic waste or post-agricultural plastic waste, so plastic from the ocean, but around 60,000 tons per annum. And from that, we have around 50,000 tons of end product. Again, the solvents, oils, and waxes. So our conversion is very high. Remember also that we have some residue. So even our residue, we do not consider this as waste, but we found applications for our residue in order to make our system truly efficient. And doing that and looking at treating plastic that otherwise will end up in the rivers, seas, or landfills for negative impact on the environment. Looking at the need to extract new crude from the ground, which is also coming with a negative impact on the environment. Taking from one side the clarity and technology, where we are able from one side to end the life of plastic, but also to substitute the need for and the dependency of petrochemical, creates a CO2 negative environment, which we are quite unique at. A circular customer value offering. This is one of the things that we are, that I must admit, when we started, it's not what we thought. But what we saw, and this is something that we see more and more with, not just with a demand, but coming also from the market with various advice and various concepts, is customers are coming to us and saying, you know, we are making our product in a plastic container. Can you take our plastic container and later on turn it into a component that we use in our product? I'll give you a simple example. Think about a simple oil degreaser that we use in our kitchens. Usually it comes in a plastic container. The plastic container, often it's made out of polypropylene. From that, inside a lot of the degreaser is actually a type of a solvent, which Clariter manufacture with additional additives, etc., etc. But think how cool it is where we can take the container from one side and we can transform it into the product that is coming in. Of course, we are not dealing with single containers, and of course, we are not dealing with small quantities, but we do know for where it comes. And a nice example that also recently we teamed up with an NGO that went to the ocean, and they collected with their volunteers a lot of plastic debris that is coming from the ocean, fishing nets and other complicated plastic to handle and recycle. And they came to us and they said, what can you do with that? And first we said, let us test to see if we can process this, because as I said, we cannot handle all plastic. We do handle majority of plastic. So we started in most complicated, which is fishing nets. And we were very happy to see that our process can handle it as well. But what we were even more happier, and the NGO was more happier, is that we came up with a certain application that together with the manufacturer, private label manufacturer that we work with, managed to create surf waxes. So think what happened with this NGO. They were from one side collecting the plastic from the ocean, bringing it to Clariter. We were putting it inside our process, and at the end we made the waxes, solvents, and oils, which we provided to a manufacturer that usually makes surf waxes, but from crude-based product. And now we made it from the same plastic waste. So by this, we even helped the surfers that volunteered for the NGO and collected plastic from the ocean to make, from one side, to end the life of plastic, but also to lubricate their surf boards, and not using new petrochemicals which are coming from crude, but using from us. Additional example I can give, we recently teamed up with one of the largest printer manufacturing, and with their some of their applications, what we managed to see is, can we take the industrial cartridges where inside they put the ink and they sell it to customers, or they offer it to customers? Can we take later on the empty containers, these empty cartridges that are mainly coming from polypropylene, and what can we do with that? Because otherwise they need to dispose it as an hazardous waste. And we took it and we tested it, and we saw that, yes, it fits our technology, it fits our process. And we are now making together a project with them to see if we are able also to substitute the solvent inside the cartridges, which is blended with the ink and is acting as a carrier for the ink. So think about getting the cartridge of the printer, converting it into a solvent, mixing it together with color, and going back into a new cartridge. By this, a true circular economy. And there are so many examples and so many ways. Clarity evolution. So, we started in 2003, almost 20 years ago, a bit less, 18, 19 years ago. And we started when Professor Andrzej Bilicki from Poland met myself. I've been an entrepreneur most of my life. What I know is not chemistry, but I know about thinking a little bit outside of the box and taking, again, stuff that no one wants and transforming it to products that everybody needs. And he came and he shared with me that he believes from a chemical point of view, he can actually take plastic waste and turn it into mineral oil. I didn't know what is mineral oil. He said in layman terms, you would know it as a baby oil. For me, the concept of taking, again, trash and turning it into treasure was mind-blowing. And this is how Clariter started in 2003. We started in a small lab with a couple of scientists, and this is how our journey starts. When we felt that the chemistry worked, we created our first pilot plant, the R&D facility, as I mentioned, in the south of Poland. It's around 300 square meter facility, and it's working, as I said, till today. When we reached the right data that we said, okay, now we need to think industry, we created the industrial scale plant that I mentioned in Poland, in South Africa. It is a 15,000 square meter facility. As I said, this facility is mainly for R&D, demonstration, training, and sampling. And therefore, it is not made for commercial purposes. So the ISP that we have is around 1,000 tons per annum, but it is working 24/7. It is taking plastic waste or plastic raw material coming from all over the world, from the sea to landfills to post-industrial, post-consumer. And this is where we try and we handle it in large quantities. This is also where we make the right sampling for our partners, either to be blended or to replace other petchem products. And where we are today, so when we felt that it's time to move on and it's time now to roll out our technology. And I will say like this, we can always get better and we can always improve, and we will continue to do so. So we said it's about time to have a couple of Clariter facilities. And we deployed teams in the Netherlands, Poland, and Israel, in addition to the team that we have in South Africa, where we've been working for more than a year on getting everything that it needed for developing facilities. And it's not just to get the engineering work, but you need to get the right location. You need to get the right permitting. You need to think about raw material. You need to make sure that you have a steady supply of raw material, not for short term, but for the very long term. And you need to think, what are you going to do with your products, with the oil solvents and waxes? And from an holistic point of view, a company, what we did, we teamed up with a couple of offtake agreements that in principle, big majority of our products are I would say, sold for the next 4 facilities. This is coming more and more and more. We teamed up with a lot of companies on research and thinking what to do and how to do. And the preparation the plan is to get ready with these 3 locations. And now there is an internal competition at Clariter, which location will be first. Again, you need to think about your raw material, where the key 4 elements is to have the right quality, quantity, availability, and price. You need to think about the right location, where you, from a regulatory point of view and permitting point of view, and also transportation and logistic point of view, it makes sense. You need to think also about what's the best way to be economical in your operations. So it's not just CapEx, but it's OpEx. And for us, OpEx is not just a cost, but also we are always looking what is our environmental footprint. So we will look in a way of what's the best way. Do you transport something which is dried, or do you dry it at source? Do you use A type of hydrogen or B type of hydrogen? The impact part and the CLA concepts are embedded in the thing that we do. So this is what we do today. In addition, we are currently, we open up Clariter. We believe that Clariter, it's not a one-man company or should be as a standalone. We believe that Clariter should provide a clean slate to various sectors. So that's why we are currently even talking with other petrochemical players, where we are telling them, you know what, instead of us competing, let's cooperate. Let's build together facilities. Let's improve the technology. Let's create new applications. Let's find new types of raw material. And the way that we do it, we are really putting a lot of emphasis of making sure that our partners sit with us on the same time of the on the same side of the table, and then we think together. We are very much looking at where should we develop next. We are currently starting to look at the US and Germany, and we have also talks about Asia. We believe that although we are just a 20-year-old company, or almost 20 years, we are still at the beginning of our journey. We look at Clariter as a startup. The reason we look at Clariter as a startup, because a startup is a mindset. It's a mindset that needs to be agile. It's a mindset that needs to be disruptor. It's a mindset that instead of holding all the cards close, is looking for cooperation. And we would like to keep Clariter as a startup in I would say the notion that we do. Clariter today compose a little bit more than 100 people. We do think that we will grow dramatically over the next couple of years. And we strongly believe that there is a place for a Clariter facility almost in every country in the world, because not like crude waste or plastic waste is everywhere, regardless if you're in an emerging market, regardless if you're a developed market, or regardless if you are a market in between. So I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that I managed to share with you a little bit about how the current situation and the importance of ESG and COVID made a great push to what we do. For us, it's a great validation in our belief. And I'm looking forward to cooperate. I'm looking for partners. I'm looking for investors. I'm looking for even ones that we can mentor and assist. We found that we have a lot of information that is embedded with us, which for us is basic, and it is, I would say, part of our DNA, the ESG concept, the concept of taking stuff that no one wants and transform it into product that everybody needs. And we find that even large companies are more than keen and interested to learn, sometimes from small ones, such as Clariter. So feel free to connect. I'm always here to help, and let's go and do some good. Thank you very much for listening.